I had fractures all through my metatarsals on my feet. It felt like they were just going to crack and snap. In that realm of, let's just get the job done. Or nothing that can't just be sorted out with a little bit of mental robustness and just cracking on.
James, welcome back. We're in the final-ish stage, like the back third of training now. We've just completed bottom field. We're moving slowly, or quickly rather, into the realms of the Commando phase. Talk to me about your experience at about week 22-ish onwards.
Well, I held my hands up to this, didn't I? As I said, week 22 for me, the fireman's carry, yeah, mate, that's hard for me to swallow now. Well, it's hard for me to swallow 20 years down the line.
Yeah, but this is just one thing that we've seen or heard of. So it shows the type. I think that's testament to the SF mentality. You can't let it go. Like that little thing gripes you.
But listen, it was in the bag. It was done. I went back, did bottom field pass out, got through all the tests. Rope climb's not a problem. Regain's not a problem. The assault course not a problem. Little niggle on the fireman's carry, which, again, surprising because it's upper body strength and it's cardiovascular fitness. I have bags of upper body strength. I climb those ropes all day. Why it got me, I don't know. But when it did get me, that's when I could have fallen into that pit of mental hurdle, mental challenge now. Get yourself out of that. How you keep yourself out of it, I wish I could tell you how to keep yourself out of it. It was just embrace the moment.
But you didn't let it bother prolong you, the bother, really. You smashed straight through it. You had your reset. I mean, even on the same day you do it, I think, don't you?
Yeah, but do you know what? Maybe that's a good thing about it. Maybe a good thing about it is that you don't have the time to let it sink in. Like, if you fail, say you go through your Commando test and you fail one of your Commando tests and then you complete the 30 miler, being that the 30 miler isn't the one that you failed, and you're sat there and at night you've just done the 30 miler, you're hanging out and you're thinking, tomorrow I've got Tarzan assault course. I mean, that's got time to set in. When it starts to set in and play with your mind, that's when, it's not so much a physical challenge anymore, it's more of a mental challenge. Just rolling straight into that fireman's carry straight after bottom field pass out to get that nipped in the bud, I guess, that's an advantage all day long.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the guy who has a few things to overcome in training, and in your case, obviously, clearly a good guy because you were a diamond at this point, and just having that one little niggle to overcome is a good tick in the box to have, I think, for yourself personally, but for your oppos around you. Like, actually, fucking hell, James, he isn't completely indestructible. He's had a little niggle, but he's getting over it. He's adapted. He's overcome, which is effectively what a bootneck is. How can you adapt and overcome a struggle of adversity? And you've done that, so certain people have different levels of adversities they have to get through. You'll know lads that went through the whole of training struggling,
It's like a boxer, for instance. A boxer with an immaculate record has an experienced loss. Some might say it's a disadvantage, isn't it?
And actually, your likability goes down. I mean, it's the Floyd Mayweather factor, isn't it? He never had a loss, but everyone hates the guy, in boxing terms anyway. He's a great fighter, but yeah, I can understand what you mean by that.
But so bottom field's in a bag. I mean, at week 22, you're now coming into your last 10 weeks of training. On a recruit's mind there, a number of exercises being violent entry at the time. I don't know what it's called now. I don't think they can call it violent entry. It's not called violent entry. Do you know what? I honestly, isn't it? I heard someone tell me it was something salamander.
No. I mean, I'd be surprised if it was changed, but at the same time, I can understand.
Changed.
Has it really changed?
It's changed because violent entry is too...
Well, final thrust and violent entry, them's the names of the exercises,
It's too aggressive.
It's got a bit
too aggressive.
Yeah.
But I mean, violent entry is the it's for
CBRN.
NBC, it's for CBRN exercise. I mean, not looking forward to that one. And then Final X, obviously that's going to be your final hurdle, cumulative exercise of all your skills. And the recruit is also obviously then going to be starting to focus on the Commando phase, the Commando tests. But the recruit at that time, in my eyes, from me going through it, Weeks 1 to 12, I'm on a slope of athleticism. Yeah, I'm peaking. I'm getting faster. I'm getting stronger. Weeks 12 to 22, I'm already super fit. You know, I'm strong. I'm now adding that robustness to it with the kit, with the boots, with the adverse weather conditions down on bottom field training. Up to weeks 22, that's where for me personally, I felt like I peaked.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think this is quite applicable to all recruits. Week 22 to week 32, this is a hanging on exercise now. Injuries are going to come round. Your body is screaming at you. Okay, that's great. I feel brilliant. That's enough. Give me a rest. Now you've got 10 weeks to push through, and they're the hardest 10 weeks as well.
I would agree. I think that's where you learn the term the grizz. That's what the grizz truly is. And you get it at that period in time.
Yep.
You don't have it before.
It's about that time that, you know, for most, I would say for most of our troop at that time, if I was to take a guess, I mean, I know it certainly was for me, I had fractures all through my metatarsals on my feet. If you weren't taking painkillers, your feet were hurting all day. They felt like they were just going to crack and snap.
Mm.
And you know, you're in that realm of let's just get the job done.
It's a necessary part of training, I think, looking back. At the time, it's honking, but when you look back, you go, no, the end result is because of that.
From a medical standpoint and a duty of care standpoint, you know, it's obviously, they would always say it's not a necessary thing to be walking around with broken metatarsals. However, from the point of view of, you know, those who have gone through it year after year after year for how, you know, since, I don't know how long, you know, I mean, was it pre-World War II as a training change since then?
Yeah, it's changed in the same way, in similar ways as it's changed since me and you've done it. But the principles remain the same as a Commando.
Yeah. So following those principles still, it's par for the course, you know. From a duty of care, from a health and safety perspective, yep, broken metatarsals isn't ideal. However, from a perspective of this is where you show your determination. This is where you show your grit. This is where you show that when these little things come about, because they are little things, broken metatarsals is a tiny thing, nothing that can't be sorted out with some cocodamol painkillers.
Those pink ones that were about that big.
Yeah, nothing. Or nothing that can't just be sorted out with a little bit of mental robustness and just cracking on. Because those painkillers are not going to last all the way through the 30 miler, are they?
No, I mean, and it's just you go to sick bay. I mean, how many nods do they see on a regular basis talking about the same stuff? And most people come out with just, like you say, a couple of paracetamols and brufen for every ailment, you know?
Do you know what? The difference between the recruit that's going to make it and the recruit that's not. The recruit that is going to make it is the one that sits there and goes, I refuse to go to the doc. It's not that big a deal. My leg's not hanging off. I'm going to crack on. And the one that sits there and goes, oh, it hurts. I'm going to take myself to the doc. That's it. Once the doc sees it, duty of care kicks in.
I mean, you can see it with guys as well, right? You'd have been working with people as a recruit going through commando training, and you know in your head, you think he's lacking a little bit of something, he's lacking a little bit of that. The guy who does go to the doc all the time, the guy who does complain about his feet when everyone's feet's hurting. You know, the guy who's complaining, oh, but I've got blisters. Everyone has blisters, right? Everyone. There's not a person who gets through training without those things. It's the guy who
soft padding on it and get a bit of zinc oxide tape on it. I don't think I took the zinc oxide tape off my feet through training.
You couldn't get it off, could you?
No, well, this is it. It reacts to heat, doesn't it? So I remember I would deliberately think, right, prevention's better than cure. I'm going on Final X. I'm going on a hard exercise. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some zinc oxide on the back of my heels. Inevitably, that's a part that always used to get affected for me. End up with 50 pence piece holes in the back of your heels. And I'm just going to do this for a week before the exercise. And I'm going to keep my feet in the duvet at night so that heat gets to it and it starts to become part of my skin. And I'll deal with the pain of trying to. Yeah, it's heat activated. The zinc oxide tape. The longer it's on, the more heat that it's exposed to. The more warmth it's exposed to, the more adhering it becomes.
There's a bit of knowledge for anyone who's joined the corps now. Then I didn't know that. I would put it on during the exercise in some cases.
Did you find that it would fall off a lot?
I'd find it would fall off, and if you get a little crease, you know where I'm coming with this. A little crease in the zinc oxide that actually irritates the area more and causes a blister.
This is the difference between what makes a good soldier and a soldier that's going to, not a soldier who's not as good and who's going to find it hard and who's going to hang out a little bit more. Admin at night in the field. Last thing I did every single night before I got in my sleeping bag, I talced my feet, because if your feet feel good, you're on a winner. I talc my feet. That feeling of talc on my feet, that feeling of talc on your feet when they're hanging out and they're wet, it's bliss, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's beautiful.
I talc my feet. I dry them. Right, I'm in my pit. I've got a few hours in my pit. That's a few hours of heat, because those sleeping bags, they heat up quick, don't they?
Yeah.
I'm going to get some tape on my feet, and I used to do it. Now, it's easy to just say, I'm hanging out, I'm knackered, I'm just going to leave that. It's easy to throw the towel in on that. But those little details there, for me through training, those little details there were what made me get through training the way I did. Attend to it. But
yeah, it's effort, isn't it? It's the, can you put the effort in when you don't have to? Lads can just get in the pit. I agree, yeah, that's something that not very many men go the extra mile in that regard, do they? When you see it, like, lads do get through training, but they go, well, you scraped through that,
Wait, you've just been on you've just been out in Senny Bridge, Dartmoor. You've had horizontal rain in your face. That rain's got bits of ice in it where it's so cold, it's smashing your face. You've been yomping for, I don't know, however many kilometres you've been yomping for. You've been fill firing, you've been doing casualty extraction, you've been doing break contact, you're on the bones of your ass. You're about 5 days in, you get to your harbour position. It's going to be the easy option. I just want to get in my pit. I just wanted to get in my pit. No, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to take 10 minutes out. I'm going to dry my feet. I'm going to put some talc on them. I'm going to let that set in. I'm going to dry that off. Then I'm going to get some zinc oxide tape on the back of my feet. So I'm going to set myself up for tomorrow. I'm setting myself up for tomorrow, because otherwise these problems are just going to compound. And you see the difference.
The 20 minutes less of sleep when the other lads are getting the head down meant that you could perform better tomorrow anyway, despite being a bit more tired probably. But in the grand scheme of things, you're already knackered, aren't you?
Yeah, and on top of that, because you're performing better, you're on the mental. You've got the mental edge, And
I think that's the difference between the likes of you and me. I never went, or I never attempted regular special forces selection. It wasn't in my thought pattern. Someone like the difference between me and you, I think, is those minute details which you were prepared to put yourself out and complete. I think, and that's me not holding my hands up, because most guys in the Corps, given the opportunity, would get the head down for an extra 20 minutes rather than sort the feet out. From what I saw, anyway, it's the guys like you who set themselves apart, and clearly you've shown that you've set yourself apart through, going through SBS briefing courses, and then pretty shortly after, you promoted really early as well. All of these little things add up. It's not like a mistake that you got through that.
Well, do you know what? I was talking to a lad in my boxing gym yesterday. I mean, he recognised me. He was a young 19-year-old lad. You're that guy for a TV program. And he said, what's the trick to get into to UKSF or something like that? And I said, my honest answer to you is, do not take your foot off the gas. Okay.
Yeah.
Do not take your foot off the gas. This was my career from the day I joined Royal Marines to the day I left. And I talked it through him in stages, and I went, at no point here whatsoever did I take my foot off the gas. That's how, once you start to become comfortable and complacent, that's when, how do I describe it? Weakness starts to set in.
I agree,
don't know. Yeah.
I mean, there's lads failing battle fitness tests 1 year out the box.
I was never, ever comfortable. Never comfortable, never complacent in my whole military career from start to finish.
Yeah. I wish I was given that advice myself, actually. I wish I was, because I went in just wanting to be a Royal Marine. Yep. But even listening to you now, that advice, I would agree with that statement. If you want to go SF, or even in a hard part of the Corps, like Mountain Leader branch or something, you kind of take your foot off the gas. And I can see it. Most people do take the foot off the gas, because it's easy to do that at unit, right? You go and do some Gucci stuff, fun stuff. You've got a lot of friends. There's plenty of times to piss it up and stuff. It's very easy to take that foot off the gas.
Yeah.
But you seem to have just kept it on. I mean, you were in Afghanistan 2 weeks. Was it 2 weeks after
7 days after Livingston, after passing out in Livingston. Yeah, yeah. I came back, did pre-deployment training for the next Herrick, jumped out on that Herrick.
I mean, you're not even recovered yet after passing out. 7 days. It takes what I think on a medical. I don't know what the exact number. It's months and months to recover from commando training.
I know, mate, but did you ever hear that story as well about they did that test once before where they took those lads straight out of Royal Marine training and put them on selection?
They smashed it.
Didn't they absolutely thrive physically?
They nailed it with Navan and Hill. Because Hill, look, people look at the hills, right? And you obviously know the hills. I know the hills as well. It's very easy to fail if you haven't been cracking your fizz and nav. I mean, two things that you can pass that thing from is fizz and nav, and lads rap on it.
Yeah,
you know.
And you imagine those recruits that come just straight out of training and tried selection, mate. They was already used to the stick. They was like,
do as you're told.
Yeah, mate. Bothered? I'm not bothered about this. I've been doing this for 32 weeks anyway.
And if anything, they're not getting shouted at. They're not getting any pressure. It's like point A to point B, lads, go. They're probably happy with that.
This is easy.
Yeah, I think it probably would be. You know, it baffles me why they don't recruit from lads out the box. I think they should look at diamonds and King's Badgemans and stuff.
I mean, I can't fully agree with that. Well, but I joined the SRR, so it was, you needed that regimental, that unit, that operational kind of experience. I think.
Really?
And I think, yeah. I know I haven't done 2-2 selection, I haven't done SB selection, but I should imagine that unit, that regimental, that operation experience really does shine through when you're doing something like the jungle and you're doing the tactical soldiering in the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the jungle in 2014, and it wasn't the SF training ground. It was at Brunei.
Yeah,
was it or Belize? I can't remember.
But Belize is You probably went to Belize. I think they use Brunei.
I was in I was in Gabon. Actually, it was in Africa when it wasn't for selection. It was with 40 Commando, and I remember my first time in the jungle. I thought, wow, I wouldn't want this to be my first experience of the jungle if I was going for selection, because I can imagine it catching a lot of guys out. It is a gopping it's hard. It's hard, horrible work. Like you know.
See, mate, I'm a soldier I'm a Marine who never experienced Norway and never experienced the jungle. All I ever knew was Afghanistan. That's all I ever knew.
See, that's a young Marine's dream, though. I didn't do Norway. I swerved that like you wouldn't believe.
I didn't spend any time on a ship. I didn't do any time. I did very, very, very few exercises. Most exercises I ever did were actually with the SRR in the end.
Really?
Yeah. My time in the Marines was a whirlwind. It was 4 years, including training, including a junior command course. It was actually less than 4 years. It was 3 years and 9 months.
That's insane.
Yeah, 3 years and 9 months from stepping off that platform at Livingston to going on course 110 for the SRR. Yeah.
Wow. So we're getting into the final part of training. A couple of exercises there. It's probably a blur in your brain now. But,
I remember digging those trenches on violent entry. I remember digging those trenches all night. I remember thinking, are you having a laugh? We're digging these trenches from scratch. I was we're going to be digging all night and we're still not going to get it done. Are you having a laugh? Like, how am I meant to dig
rock solid ground as well?
A 6-7 foot deep trench in the pitch black, tactically, at night, and get it done before the sun comes up.
You're getting fragged no matter what.
and then it starts to rain, and that trench, as you're digging it, you're trying to figure out a way how to get that water out of it.
Not happening. Make hot wets with it.
Mate, it was I remember that. I remember being on this hill, and I remember they were like, start digging. It's pitch black. And also, I mean, my violent entry, mine was in the dead of winter. I mean, I think do you think that makes it? That'll obviously make a difference whether you've got the summer or the winter.
I
Both
did.
got their.
So
Go on.
I kind of experienced training like from both sides of the weather.
Yep.
And when I completed training, I did the same timing as you, really, like all of the hard stuff at the winter time. Now, I think
Yep.
there's pros and cons to both. The pros instantly were you're near the end, you're robust already, you're
Yep.
probably able to take the rigors of that a little bit better than it would if you were a brand new nod in winter on the early exercises. The cons are you've still got to meet the standard, and you'll know this yourself. Like the 30-miler times don't change because it's raining or it's wet or it's icy or it's snowy. Could be 3 foot of snow. Nothing changes.
Well, I've done the fan dance in complete whiteout, and
Really?
I've done SBS briefing course in 35-degree heat. I'll choose the whiteout anytime.
Really?
Yeah.
On the top of the fan, because you're nearly getting like the wind's up there. People don't realise, especially if it's snowing, it's going to be windy, isn't it?
Mate, you can't see nothing but white. You're like,
And
where's the
lads
track?
cream
Where's
it in, don't they?
the track? Where's the track? Where am I going? I can't see. There's nothing. Everything's just white.
And you've still got to get the times as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, you're not running down a hill. You're sliding down a hill because it's ice. I remember I was on my ass for most of going down the other side of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Put your roll mat on your bot and slide down it.
I mean, like I said, I've done SB briefing course. I've done the SBS briefing course. I did that in the height of summer of 2008, and that was by far a more physically enduring experience than anything I've ever done.
Really? I've heard that. It's a lick, isn't it?
The SB briefing course is the hardest physical test I've done.
Wow. That's interesting.
We'll come on to that, mate. I mean, I know why they do it. They do it for a reason.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mainly bootnecks on that as well, I'm guessing.
There was maybe I remember one para being on it. I remember all majority bootnecks, maybe an army or so, but yeah, it was majority bootnecks.
So we're getting through Violent Entry, Final X.
Yep.
I didn't find Final X too bad, actually, because I knew it was the last one.
Yep, yeah.
I don't know if that was what your experience, but...
And also, did you find on Final X, you're not treated like an adult, but you're certainly not treated like the recruit piece of shit that you've been treated like through the whole of training. I remember that. I think I remember that distinct factor there.
There was an almost an immediate switch in mentality from the training team, actually. I don't know if that's done on purpose at that time of training because they want you to get through now. They've invested a lot of money in you as well. Yeah. And to be fair, for me, the whittling out exercise isn't Final X. It was Violent Entry. If they wanted rid of you, that was the exercise they got rid of you on, Do
you know what? I remember this detail. I don't know if it was the same for you, Ryan. On Final X, my section commander, my corporal through training, Jim Glanfield, he became part of the section. So he was now no longer someone on the sidelines giving you neat shit. He was a part of your team, and he made out that you are now part of my team. You're not a piece of shit. You're still not, a Royal Marine. Remember that, but you're not that piece of shit I've been taking through training. Okay?
You are in the section.
Yeah.
I liked how the dynamic of the exercise changed in Final X as well. It felt real, if that makes sense. The others, it felt like it was like I'm being watched and tested, whereas now it's like, right, lads, we're going out on a patrol. We're probably going to get under contact. It felt real for a recruit, And
also, did you notice this, Ryan? I don't know if you noticed this. I noticed this within myself. You felt like you became more of a professional soldier because of that fact. The fact that he was, you felt that you performed better.
It must be written in the PAM then for that, because I remember feeling exactly the same as what you're saying there. If you think about the bubble of anxiety you've got in commando training anyway, that being lifted slightly, the energy that I had on Final X, the wanting to, like, we've got, because you have to have a 12-miler tick in the box, don't you? Yeah. So, but it just felt a lot easier doing it without that duress of he's going to pick me up for this or that and the other.
Yep.
It wasn't that anymore. It was different.
Yeah.
It was almost like, look, this is the mission, we need to get through it type thing, you know?
Yeah. You're now part of the team. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good feeling. So you passed Final X. You're
Yep.
on the bus back to camp to clean weapons and stuff.
What have you got after Final X? I think it's field firing.
Field firing, yeah. You get your cap comforters at this point on Final X, right? So you're in the Commando phase anyway, is that right?
Yeah. I would say that field firing, from my view, is the 5th Commando test.
It's the unheard struggle of trade. Like, no one talks about it, right?
Yeah. That 2-week final field firing package. People pay lip service to that.
It thins people out.
Yeah, the 30-miler, that's 7 hours. Tarzan assault course, 10 to 13 minutes. I don't know, depending how good you are. 9-miler, that's a set time. You're all coming in at the same time. I can't remember how long you get on a 9-miler.
Oh,
now in 30 minutes.
About an hour and a half, 90 minutes. I think.
The 5th Commando test for me is field firing. I mean, it's a lick. It's 2 weeks of range stew, so you're not on the best. You're not on the best nutritional package.
Cough tea.
Cough tea. Sleeping. What? Probably on a camp. I don't know. Camp cot on a roll mat. I don't know.
Cot beds. I think you were at Otterburn for part of it as well, where you did get a bit of a metal bunk bed, but you're not spending a lot of time in there. You're out.
Mate, I didn't get a bunk bed. I don't remember getting a bunk bed on field firing.
Did you not? In fact,
no.
And actually, you know what? You're gonna hate this. We got weather one and off the range in our second week, so we effectively got like a week off. Which you know how much of a gift that is, right?
Right, you're rested and recovered for your first Commando test.
Like people, and you know what? We had a lot of failures on our Commando tests, and they reckon it was down to not keeping the momentum up.
Really?
Yeah, lots of lads failed the Commando tests because we were in our pits for like 5 days or something. So
that field firing, you're on 8 hours a day. If you've got a night shoot, maybe 11 hours a day of running up and down range, babies' heads, fire maneuver, casualties, repetitive, non-stop, on-range stew. It's a physical thrashing. It really is. And you've got the mental side on top, because you're not just running forward, are you? You've got all your safety drills. You've got all the stuff that you can be thrown off a course at any time, or you can be back trooped, or you can, pick up a thready at any time. On the range, yeah.
And it's on Dartmoor, a lot of it, isn't it, as well? So it's a horrible. It'll have been dead winter for you as well, I'm guessing.
It was. Yep, it was
January,
February. It was February, probably the worst month. Yeah,
the worst month. Yeah. So it's not easy, is it? You're piss wrapped anyway the whole time. Yeah. And this is before you do the most physically enduring part of Commando training. And that in itself is, like you say, you must be burning thousands of calories those days.
Yeah, mate, you're on the back foot anyway, because you've just done 30 weeks of training, but you're certainly on the back foot before you go into the first Commando test, which endurance course, I think it is. No, is it 9 mile speed march? I don't know. It's on a Saturday, isn't it?
It's on a Saturday. I think it's the.
Do you get back on a Friday and you do the first Commando test on a Saturday?
Yes, because you do something that
you don't even get a weekend off.
It basically works out that your kit is honking for the first one, and you've got to get your weapon and stuff inspected, so you're knackered.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I want to say it's the 9-miler on the Saturday, and then your Monday
endurance,
and then Tarzan.